There are three things, three ingredients, a succession, if you will, of three stages that we see repeated in history over and over again. And in every situation, those three successive events always lead to the exact same result: national calamity. Stage 1, the corruption of religious leaders, which produces a corrupt church. Stage 2, the corrupt church expands its influence by numbers, and it expands numbers by false conversions, and the false converts naturally produce tyrannical government. Stage 3, which is the final stage, the corrupt church works in harmony with the corrupt civil government to ultimately remove Christ and his influence from society.
It started in a village called Modin with a priest named Mattathias. The Syrian officials were forcing Jews to sacrifice on pagan altars. They approached Mattathias, who was full of sorrow, mourning the atrocities that were happening to God's people and the desecration of the temple, and asked him to be first in line because of his notable character, his respected family, and his influence in the local community. If he would go first, others would follow easily. They promised him silver and gold and favor with the king if he would comply. If he went along with their demands, perhaps it would even save lives and they would show mercy. Mattathias took a different approach. He said no, and he said it loudly. Though all the nations that are under the king's dominion obey him, and fall away every one from the religion of their fathers, and give consent to his commandments, yet will I and my sons and my brethren walk in the covenant of our fathers. God forbid that we should forsake the laws and the ordinances. We will not hearken to the king's words to go from our religion either on the right hand or the left. While Mattathias makes his stand, one of the apostate Jews runs to the pagan altar to distance himself from his brother of stronger convictions and moral courage. Then, in a bold act of righteous indignation, and perhaps even a touch of blind fury, Mattathias slays the apostate Jew at the altar, kills the Syrian official standing there, tears down the pagan altar in the town that was just another village being stripped of religious freedom. Here's the cry of this gritty small-town preacher. And Mattathias cried throughout the city with a loud voice, saying, "Whosoever is zealous of the law and maintaineth the covenant, let him follow me." The town revolts and wins. They flee into the wilderness to hide in the mountains, men, women, children, leaving all the creature comforts of home and everything they had behind them. They weren't alone either. Others were fleeing for their lives to escape persecution. Others were coming that heard about what happened in Modin and were hoping to find an ally there. News was spreading of the revolt. Antiochus sent men into the wilderness to find this family of troublemakers led by Mattathias and crush them. A ruthless company of Antiochus men is dispatched from Jerusalem into the wilderness. They find many hiding in caves. They wait until Sabbath and then slaughter 1,000 men, women, and children who do not defend themselves out of honor for the holy day. News of this genocide is brought to Mattathias. The people rally to him, desiring him to be their leader. Everyone grieves. Mattathias rallies them to do more than grieve, but to fight. He convinces them that when you see mass people being slaughtered for their faith, A godly people that won't fight can't advance their cause if they're dead. Perhaps a similar realization was made in the founding of our nation when the Second Amendment was added as a safeguard to protect the First. The people learned to fight. A grassroots-style movement of guerrilla warfare follows. Mattathias and his men enter into other Jewish villages, tear down the pagan altars, kill the Syrian guard along with the apostate Jews who fight alongside them, restore the practice of circumcision, and chase away those who would try to hinder them. Their small band of guerrilla soldiers starts to grow into a poorly clad but fiercely determined army. They conduct these campaigns for about a year, during which time Mattathias gets sick and is about to die. He calls his 5 grown boys together and passes on instructions to them. Now therefore, my sons, be ye zealous for the law, and give your lives for the covenant of your fathers. Call to remembrance what acts our fathers did in their time. So shall you receive great honor and an everlasting name. And thus consider ye throughout all ages that none that put their trust in him shall be overcome. Fear not then the words of a sinful man, for his glory shall be dung and worms. Today he shall be lifted up, and tomorrow he shall not be found, because he is returned into his dust, and his thought is come to nothing. Wherefore ye, my sons, be valiant, and show yourselves men in the behalf of the law, for by it shall ye obtain glory. He appoints Judas called Maccabeus as general in his stead, and his brother Simon as a governor and counselor. Shortly after, he dies.